In this video, I'm going to show you how to get the best display settings for your Xbox Series S or X, which is going to improve graphics and clarity on your screen. So the first thing we're going to do is head on over to the settings cogwheel in the top right corner. We're going to select General and go to TV and Display Options. Now under Display, you'll see Resolution, and I highly recommend you always use the highest value, as this is going to give you the biggest resolution on your screen and it's going to look best. If you use a lower resolution, it's going to look bulky, clunky, and even a little bit blurry. So always go with your highest display, and in my case, my resolution is 1080p. When it comes to device control, you don't have to turn this on, but if you do, you'll be able to essentially have your console work with your television so they almost work together to do certain things. So if you wanted to turn these on, you can. Me personally, I just like to leave it off. We'll skip night mode, that's pretty self-explanatory. When it comes to setup, 4K TV details, if you don't have a 4K TV, you don't need to worry about this. I don't personally, but it'll show you the different options based on your TV setup and what it supports. Now, when it comes to calibrating your TV, this is incredibly important. You need to go through these steps and make adjustments to your television in order to get the best looking games on your console. It does give you a few different tips and tricks here, and we'll go through the different options. So when it comes to the picture mode, you want to make sure it's set to cinema, film, or standard, and you should be seeing all of these different colors to your right. You can also adjust the ratio and sharpness, which if it doesn't look like this for you, don't worry, I'll show you how to fix that. But you should be able to see the green border all around your display. Now, let's go to the next thing, brightness. You should be able to see the open eye at the bottom and nothing at the top. And this is just telling us that the brightness is correct. Now, if you were to see an eye in the top box, that would mean that our brightness is too high and we need to turn it down. Same here, you can see it perfectly. When it comes to contrast, it has a great example here as well. If you see an eye in the top, you need to reduce your contrast. Next, we have another picture here showing us exactly how it should look on both sides. And when it comes to brightness, again, you can adjust it just to make sure it's correct after having adjusted your contrast if you needed to. Same thing with advanced color. This is just the entire process and you are done. Your TV is now calibrated. When it comes to advanced stuff, let's first go to video mode. So this is going to be highly dependent on the TV that you have. So for example, for me, my monitor supports 50 Hertz. If you have a 4K monitor, you might have a bunch of different options here where you can allow 4K, you can have auto HDR, Dolby Vision for gaming, variable refresh rate, etc., etc. In most cases, you probably want to have most of these turned on, but I'd go through each setting and just see if you need it. It could make it look a lot better, so it's definitely worth looking into. For most people, though, if you don't have a 4K TV, you're really not going to have to go through too many of those options. Now, when it comes to video fidelity and overscan, this is incredibly important. You want to have this on auto detect. This is going to ensure that your display is always going to be the correct size, rather than, potentially having it crop too much or something along those lines, and it just doesn't look good for your TV. So when in doubt, leave it on auto detect, and if you really know what you're doing, you can mess with these settings. Although I found more times than not, it just ends up looking worse, whether cropped in or whatever have you. Now, when it comes to video fidelity, me personally, I leave it on 8-bit, but you could experiment with 36 bits per pixel. It might give you a little bit more color in that case, although sometimes it can actually look worse. When it comes to color space, me personally, I leave it on standard recommended. I feel like a lot of times people get a little bit too caught up in all these different settings, and in most cases, you can probably just trust your Xbox when it comes to selecting auto functions or recommended functions. Same thing with here, overscan border. Now, some applications do add a border and they can run off the edge of your TV, so you can turn this on or off. Me personally, I leave it turned on. Now let's go back. So we've hit all of these, and at this point, your TV should be looking pretty darn good. If I had to say what's the most important things in TV and display options, it would definitely have to be calibrating your TV and making sure you're using the correct resolution. Of course, these things are incredibly important as well, but for the most part, Xbox does a pretty good job of selecting the things that you do need based on your television. So I hope this video was helpful. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.